Hi, 8th grade. Welcome to week 3. So we are moving on to cellular respiration and photosynthesis. Now, usually I have a ton of fun activities that we would have done in the classroom, but we're kind of limited at this point. So I'm going to give you a quick breakdown on what photosynthesis is and cellular respiration, how they make one big loop and they interact with each other because we need both in order to survive in this world. And then I'll go over the requirements for this week. Okay? I hear you guys say okay. Okay, so get your notes ready. Remember, we have a quiz coming up this week. You'll take it on quizzes.com. There's a link and a code. It'll take you right to it. All you do is take the quiz online, and then you hit finish, and it sends it right to me. So there's no need to record your answers or anything. But here's the great thing. You take your notes, then you can use the notes on your quiz because it's open note quiz. At least I would hope that you would use them. So we're going to start with photosynthesis. Big word, photo and synthesis. Me and my whiteboard's going on here. Okay, so photosynthesis, this is how you spell it. It is one of your vocabulary words this week, so we're going to be breaking down. I'm going to use every vocabulary word in this video. So it's a great way, if you take those notes, it's easy to transfer them right over to your vocabulary. Now, what is photosynthesis? It is what we call a chemical reaction. So it's not a physical reaction. It is where we take something that's not physical and we change it. Not us, but the plants. So chemical reaction, plant carries out, so the plant is the one doing this action, to produce. Remember, produce means to make energy from sunlight. I'm writing that down, and I'll put that up here in a second for you guys. Now, if you guys see me that I misspelled anything, catch it, and those are lab points. Okay, chemical reaction, plant carries out to produce energy from sunlight. Hi, Jotham. Hi. Yeah, that is yours. Can you shut the door, please? No. That's what happens when you're a mom. Okay, so there is the definition. Now, how does it work? Okay, let me switch to green here. So we have our plants. You guys just heard him leave. Okay, so we have our plant. Okay, and what happens is that inside this plant, this is why it was really important we learned about the different kinds of cells, what was in plant cells. Chlorophyll is where chlorophyll is very important in the photosynthesis process. Okay, so what we do is that there's the sun. I don't really have yellow, so we're going to, I guess, use brown. Okay, the plant absorbs the sunlight's energy. So we need the sun for the start of it, just like we need it for food chains and the water cycle and everything. It's amazing how important the sun is. Sun's energy. Okay, so the plant absorbs the sun's energy. That's kind of the first step. And the energy will then go into the plant cells. Draw out a cell. Okay. Oh, sorry. They're supposed to be square. Good thing I caught that, or that would have been lab points right there. Okay. So then the sun's energy gets trapped inside the cells. But what was it that I said? The chlorophyll. So you have those little chlorophylls. They're inside the cell, okay? And that's where the sunlight's energy gets trapped. So I'm going to write chlorophyll right here. Bam, okay? And then we're going to write traps sun's energy. And once it traps that energy, then it's going to start processing and causing chemical reaction. So it's basically Like, how do I relate this to superheroes when they, like, accidentally are caught in an explosion and then they absorb the chemical? That's what's going on right here. So the sunlight, the plant, the chlorophyll absorbs that sun energy and starts converting it into chemical energy. And the chemical energy is what is then powering the whole photosynthesis story. Okay, so it's the energy that helps do the running. Now, what does it convert? It's converting the sun, but the sun's powering everything. It will eventually lead to, okay, what we call waste products. Oh, not waste products. Sorry, I'm not there yet. It will how do I put it? It converts. So it converts. What other thing does plants take in? What do they breathe in? You're right, carbon dioxide, CO2. So it converts carbon dioxide in, surprisingly, water. So it's absorbing the water through its roots. That's why it's very important that we learned about vascular, non-vascular, seed and seedless plants, because we're trying to figure out how the whole system works. Now, this is building on what we've learned the last 2 weeks. So, absorbs sun's energy. Chlorophyll is what's absorbing it. It's what's going to power the photosynthesis whole process, and it's going to convert. It's going to take in, the plant's breathing in and taking in from the bottom and the top, carbon dioxide and water. So between all of this, it will convert, it'll change this using sun's energy, change this into what we call waste products. It pushes it out for what we need in order to survive. So I'm not there yet. And what it actually eventually produces, after all this is mixed together and the power plant's done it, it will produce oxygen. Or sorry, it doesn't produce oxygen. It produces glucose. Okay. Oops. I put a U in there. We don't need a U. It produces glucose. Okay. So here we go again. Absorbs sun energy, which will power the plant. Chlorophyll is what absorbs it, and it's going to be a chemical reaction. It converts, that powering converts carbon dioxide and water that it takes in through its roots and absorbing, and it will produce glucose. Glucose is what it's like the sugary stuff that a lot of people can't eat in their foods because it's like their bodies can't process it. This is the exact same thing going on, that somehow the plants have to convert and chemical change it. So what is released as a result of making this glucose? That's what we need as humans. Organisms need it too. It releases, so what we call waste products. Waste means like, you know, our urine and our poop and everything. And surprisingly, we have other waste products, sweat, carbon dioxide, but it will produce oxygen for us. So, in the process, we have the powering of the plant, absorbs the sun's energy, goes into the chlorophyll, going to cause a chemical reaction, which will power it up to convert the water and carbon dioxide into glucose. Glucose is what helps feed the plant and everything, but it will produce out whatever it doesn't need. It's going to produce out oxygen. So that's how it all starts. So it's actually just one big cycle that's going on. Okay, so that is photosynthesis happening. Now, what happens on the other end with cellular respiration? That's where we come in as organisms. Plants do their own thing. Animals have their own thing too. Okay, so there's a lot of your vocabulary words right there. Before I move on, I want you to write this down. This is the formula for creating this is the formula that is used in the whole photosynthesis process. Make sure I write it down correctly for you guys. Okay. So write this down because this could come up on your quiz next week. All right, so here's the formula. I don't expect you to memorize this, but I expect you to know it takes 6 carbon dioxide, CO2s, plus 6 molecules of water, plus light energy, sun's energy, to yield, air always means yield, glucose, plus oxygen. So these 3 things put together will push out this waste product, glucose and oxygen. Glucose is often found in the plants, so that when we eat it, that's another way for us to get some of our sugars and our resources to keep our body processing and going. Okay? Now, when it comes to cellular respiration, we're going to get the definition for you guys. So go ahead and write that down. Cellular respiration. Bam. Right there. Definition is it's glucose. So we're learning a lot about glucose. So if you're glucose intolerant, this is a good way to realize, have a understanding about how your own body works and processes it. It's amazing that it's all throughout how God's put it through all of the world. Glucose in food reacts with oxygen. So I'm going to put O2. Producing, remember producing means making. So it makes CO2, waters. Yes, our body does produce water. Spit, sweat, crying. And energy in the mitochondria. Oh, see? That's why another reason why we learned about our cell parts was because it's very essential to know where does all of this take place. So it's chlorophyll in plants, but in the body, the human body, in animals, it's the mitochondria. Mitochondria, if you remember, is known as the powerhouse, the power factory, energy factory. So there's a bunch of different ways. But here's cellular respiration with the definition. Glucose in food, so we eat that up, reacts with oxygen, so we breathe in, so we take in the glucose, we take in the oxygen, and it produces our waste products. Carbon dioxide, CO2, water. So we're not producing as much water as we are CO2, but it's there. And energy in the mitochondria. So another waste thing is that the energy in the mitochondria, that's what powers us up. So without oxygen and glucose, you want to be able to function. But the more you allow your brain to breathe, and the better you eat with those things that are glucose, then the more energy you can produce. Now, what happens for glucose intolerant people? They have to find another way to get that energy. I'm not sure because I'm not one of those people, but that would definitely be a great thing for lab points. Okay, so let me erase one of these and get you guys going on that process. Now, it's a continuous cycle. We need one and the other. It's amazing how God has put this puzzle pieces together. So when it comes to cellular respiration, we're going to draw a stick figure. You probably can draw yourself a lot better, not bigger. Okay, so the way it works is that you breathe in. Oh, nope. I'm putting you breathe in CO2. Don't get that mixed up. All right, so you breathe in oxygen. We'll write that in. You breathe in. Okay. You also take in glucose. Now, you don't necessarily need glucose in order to do this whole cellular respiration process. It helps. Okay, it does help, but there's always some other sugary way. But oxygens are the big one. So they breathe in oxygen. In this oxygen, another chemical reaction starts happening in our body. Not exactly like how the sunlight starts powering up the process for the plant, but oxygen is what powers us up. Okay, so when we breathe it in, the mitochondria in our human cells, remember there is a mitochondria in the plant, but it's very important for us. It's the powerhouse. it takes this oxygen and glucose and it helps produce out ATP, which is our form of energy. It's just energy. It's what helps power us. So it's amazing what oxygen does. It doesn't just, create something. It just doesn't help us breathe. It's actually doing a lot more work in our bodies. The oxygen is help powering up the mitochondria, which is pushing back out our energy that helps us keep going. So without that breathing and the chemical reaction from the plants, we couldn't function very well. So mitochondria is very important. What else does it produce out? Waste products. So ATP is a waste product. It also pushes out CO2 and H2O. Okay? So one thing comes in, well, two things come in, but three things come out. So it results in oxygen with a little bit of glucose. It gives us our powering up of our own bodies, and then it will help produce out carbon dioxide, which will be brought in by the plants all over again, in water, because we have to get those waste products out. So when this energy starts pumping and everything, we gotta sweat it out, get it out, spit, whatever it's gonna take, because our body's trying to stay in homeostasis this whole time. Now, what's another word for breathing? Because that is one of your vocabulary words. Let me get a different color for you guys. Let's do red. Yeah, I think I got it. Respiration. So that is vocab. Okay. Very important to know that word because we have the respiratory system. That is just that's a fancy word, 8th grade word for breathe in. Respiration. And that's what helps power cellular respiration. So I'm just going to put power CR. Pretty easy, huh? And the formula for cellular respiration, you might have guessed it, is actually the complete opposite of the formula for photosynthesis. So let me write that out for you guys because it's very important that you know this. C6H12O6, that's glucose. Okay, so we take glucose plus, what else? Oxygen, you're right, O6O2. Remember the magic number is 6, so we need 6 pieces, molecules, in order to be able to breathe and keep going. And it yields carbon dioxide, water, and this time it doesn't yield light energy like we need for plants. It yields waste products, ATP. So they're both energy, they're just different forms of it. So here's your formula, complete opposite of photosynthesis. You have glucose plus oxygen goes into our body, yields these waste products, carbon dioxide, water, and ATP, energy. So we push it out. Kind of cool. So here's your photosynthesis, and then you look, exact opposite. So this constant, a continuous cycle, just like science. Science is always in a cycle. There's always something continually going no matter what. You disrupt one part of that cycle, we've got to figure out a way to keep it going. So that's it. That's what photosynthesis and cellular respiration are. So experiment for this week. What I want you guys to do is I've uploaded on lesson plans a website you can go to on figuring out can plants actually breathe. And it's really cool to watch. You can go into your backyard. You can get a leaf for this experiment. You can get a flower. The only thing you have to do is make sure that it's still alive. So don't go looking on the ground and find a dead leaf and think that it's going to still breathe. No, it has to actually still have, when you break it off, it has to look green on the inside. That means that the chlorophyll is still moving through and it's still doing the photosynthesis and it's photosynthesis in plants. Okay? So the cool thing is you put it in water, you leave it for a couple hours, and you'll actually start seeing something happen from that plant. And you can tell if you can actually witness cellular respiration and photosynthesis actually taking place. It's really cool. So if you do that experiment, it's worth 100 points for your lab, 8th grade lab group, and just take a picture and show me like that evidence. Okay, so there's your experiment for the week to really dive into this one. When it comes to homework, doing it a little easier this week because you had a big 2 little projects last week. This time you're going to do, let me actually write it out for you to give you a picture. The document is uploaded in resources. It's called the First Then Next Graphic Organizer. Once again, First Then Next Graphic Organizer. What it's going to look like is there's going to be 4 squares on here with arrows. So it's like the cycle we're going through. So it's going to look a little like this, but a bit more intricate and detailed. You can either draw it out like this if you don't have a printer. I don't have a printer right now, so I understand. And then you're going to show steps of first the photosynthesis, then get another piece of paper, and then show me cellular respiration. What you're doing is you're going to draw a picture of that step, and then write a sentence or 2 or 3 complete sentences that go along with your picture describing the process. There are 4 steps technically in each one, maybe 5, but you can break it down. I mean, photosynthesis, light energy absorbed, then it goes into chlorophyll, then it yields this step, or it converts into glucose. My brain is frying right now. And then what's the waste products? I mean, you just have to break it down however you want. If you want to add another square, go for it. Just show it. So that's your homework, and you do have vocabulary this week as well. So all the words that I talked about in this video are your vocabulary words, so take those notes and use them on vocab. So once again, let me slow it down. Take notes from your video for your quiz. Try the experiment, homework, vocabulary words. Also look on Thursday's lesson plans. There is a quiz. This quiz is over non-vascular and vascular plants. Nothing to do with photosynthesis and cellular respiration this week. We'll take a quick quiz next week, maybe the week after, on those. So you can go back and use your notes. Once again, notes for video, experiment, homework, vocabulary words, quiz. So there's 3 things you're turning into me this week. When it comes to, thank you, Jotham. When it comes to your quiz, all you do is log on to the website that I've already put in the code, and then take the quiz. When you're done, you don't have to do anything. It comes straight to me. Okay, so this was a little longer video than we usually have, but I want to really make sure that you guys understand that whole process. If there's any part that you're just, please email me. I'm happy to answer any questions. If there's anything you guys cannot find on the document, right away, email me, and I'll be happy to send it right over to you guys, or fix whatever it is on RunWeb. All right. You guys have a great 3rd week. You guys are doing awesome. Keep it up, and hopefully see you soon. Bye, 8th grade.